Travis had lost his uncle Stan several weeks ago, and although he had accepted the fact of his uncle's passing, he still felt bad about it and had begun to wonder about the entire concept of birth and death. He thought to himself that he would need to ask Tiber again about that dreadful subject. He had just finished his classes, and it was only for a half day because the teachers needed to attend to some teacher staff stuff. He had his laptop with him and figured that he would stop at Wendy's to get a double cheeseburger and fries for lunch and do some easy research on the subject. Wendy's seemed almost empty, so Travis figured that he wouldn't get the stink eye from the manager for using his computer. There were plenty of empty tables in the place. After picking up his order, he took it to the far end of the restaurant and sat down. He decided he would multitask by eating and researching at the same time. He was conducting a Google search and putting his Coke up to sip it when he sensed someone looking at him. As he glanced up, he saw what looked pretty much like a homeless man walking over towards his table. Travis frowned and decided to ignore him, and looked back down at his computer screen. He heard a voice. "Do you mind if I join you?" The homeless man spoke directly to Travis. Travis looked back up at the man, who was definitely dressed in the seediest old clothes possible, and he even had holes in the top of his shirt and sides of his pants. He mustered up the firmness to say what he thought.
"I'm sorry, but I have to do some work on my computer, and someone sitting with me would be a distraction, so I would prefer that you didn't."
The man smiled, displaying a scarcity of teeth, and those that he had were a pretty dismal gray/black color. He said,
"Oh, that would be too bad. I'm sure I could help you with that research as Google doesn't really know much about birth and death stuff. Perhaps you should reconsider about me leaving."
Damn it! Must you always arrive when I least expect you? You always keep me off guard.
That is always my intent, my boy. Keeping you off guard is also helpful in keeping you interested in our lessons. In any case, may I sit down with you?
I guess so, but you will need to clean up first. Those clothes are disgusting, and you smell bad.
I can't smell bad. I'm just a spirit, remember. You are just being prejudicial and assuming that all homeless people smell bad. I'm really disappointed in you, son.
I don't care. Do something about yourself, and while you are at it, fix those teeth. I'm eating here.
Tiber gave in and transformed himself into the good-looking middle-aged man he normally was when he acted as Travis' teacher. He was wearing bright red shorts and a really neat white pullover with the lettering "I'm here" with the dummy positioned over an arrow pointing to Travis. His teeth were perfect, as evidenced by the super-wide grin he displayed directly to Travis as he lifted a leg up to show Travis's classic white Puma sneakers. There was also quite a strong scent of Old Spice emanating directly from Tiber towards Travis. Tiber spoke up.
"Homeless man gone. The handsome professor presented for your approval, sir."
That's a lot better.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Now let's consider the lesson of the day. I believe you requested to know something about what happens when you are born and, more importantly for your interests, what happens when you die. Is that correct?
It is. But what about the other people here in Wendy's? Can't they see or hear us?
Nope. This is another very amazing thing about your chosen teacher. I can block everyone from seeing or hearing us. I can also alter time, and this entire lesson can take place between the time you place food in your mouth and the time you swallow it. All they are observing is a young man who doesn't appear to know much about dressing smartly, working on his laptop. We are good to go.
A smart-ass teacher as well.
First, I have to let you know that I can only go so far in describing what you are going to experience when you pass from this particular obstructed realm into a transitional realm, which is just another unobstructed realm. I assume you remember the difference between an obstructed and a non-obstructive realm or universe, right?
Yes. I remember. An obstructed realm or universe has all kinds of what appear to be physical blockages that you feel that you have to go over, under, around, or through, and that might include ideas as well as solid obstructs. An unobstructed realm or universe has none of those blockages, and you can move through them as if they were not there, which they are not really, as all things are actually an illusion anyway in both realms.
Very good. That's a little oversimplified but a good description nonetheless for us simple folk. I can only go so far in describing what you are going to experience. When you pass from one realm to another, It is near impossible to describe something that you are not programmed to see or hear about and then process because of the observation and analysis system that you are born with here in this particular obstructed realm. You can understand this if you watch the evolution of a baby being born and observe that the baby has a very limited capacity to understand what they see at first. It takes a reasonable amount of our time to see, process, understand, and react to everything that happens to them. This state of affairs continues on throughout your lifetime here in this realm. The baby normally becomes an infant, then a child, then a young person, a teenager and young adult, and continues to become an older person, an elderly person, and then finally gives up the ghost and leaves for a transition realm. The baby is a soul born with a consciousness that is permanent and stays the same no matter their physical development or which spiritual realm that soul finds itself in. The level of intelligence of every soul and its consciousness is unlimited, as it is essentially an integral part of supreme consciousness or creator, as you wish. Still, it does need input, and that input goes on forever in every environment that the soul will find itself residing in.
Thank you. I understand all of that, even if it makes my mind swirl a little. I can also appreciate how it would be impossible to visualize what a transition realm would look and feel like without having a transition period to familiarize me with its essence. But is there anything that I could understand or even remember? As you said, I had been there before coming here to this obstructed realm we are in now?
Of course there is, and it might be beneficial for you to understand a little bit of it before launching yourself from here to there. It won't actually be an essential thing to do as everyone eventually adjusts to the change in venue, but having pre-knowledge of what you will experience keeps the communication between your current temporary mindset and your permanent conscious in a smoothly flowing state rather than an agitated one. You are going to find that you will operate more on what you will be sensing as opposed to what you think you are going to be seeing or feeling. The emotional sense is immediate, whereas the visual sense in a transition zone is not ocular because you have no real eyes. Well, that is real physical eyes in any case. Some souls will often not be up to a reality where they have no body, no eyes, no arms or legs, no nothing. So they sort of keep them for a period of their perceived time within a transition realm. But because physical things are not needed and therefore superfluous, they are eventually discarded from a soul's thoughts as the arriving soul gets comfortable in this non-obstructed realm. But to continue on with my description, keep remembering the analogy of a baby arriving in your realm. They are largely helpless, but others around them help them, particularly the mother and father. A new arrival in a transitional realm also needs assistance, and they will receive it. Sometimes and actually, it is from another soul they interacted with within a previous lifetime that will meet them and guide them in this new environment. It might be a past relative, a previous spouse, a lover or a friend. You have had many previous lives, and the individual soul or souls that will be there for you may not be the ones from your immediate previous life that you think would be there. It doesn't really matter as almost everyone in the transition realm is of a loving nature and will be willing and very desirous to assist you in any way. I will probably be first in line to meet you, by the way. Any questions yet?
Yes, a million of them, but I will keep it down to just a few important ones. First, how do you live? Are there houses? Are there other animals such as pets? Do you still fall in love with someone else even if you had loved somebody here before you died? This is ridiculous. My questions all sound ridiculous, but the idea of a place with nothing solid confuses my mind.
Tiber laughed a little.
So you see, my boy, if it is hard for you even to ask questions without thinking of physical obstructions, you might imagine how difficult it is for me to describe unobstructive worlds. But I can still answer your so-called ridiculous questions. First, you can reside in houses created by your own imagination, and they can be wonderful places indeed. You can have a mansion in a city or a villa in the country, or perhaps you would love a cabin in a locale that meets your fancy. Live on a tropical island or high in the mountains. It's all up to you. You can have whatever pets you want and even bring forth the exact ones you had here in this realm. And as far as someone to love, there are no limits. You might be together again with some incredible loves you have lost in previous lives, or perhaps you will form wonderful bonds with new ones from within the transition realm you find yourself in. You may have lost a friend, a spouse, or even a child in this life, and you will find yourself with them again in a transitional realm. They will be with you as needed or continue on their own paths as needed. It's all good. You see, without the restrictions found in an obstructed universe, you have unlimited options on the life you are then experiencing. And because there are no, what you might call filters within a transition realm, you reside in an atmosphere that is far more intense than the one you are in now. The colors are brighter and considerably more varied, and instead of listening to music, you reside in music that changes to match the emotions you are feeling. This atmosphere is all love and all comforting and all pervasive and totally supportive at the same time. There is no fear, and you truly feel that you are safe from any worry or harm. I know that it sounds like you are in heaven, but you are not. You are in a transition realm for a purpose. Supreme consciousness, or creator if you wish, is more closely felt in those realms but is not directly experienced or confronted. These are places where you reside in contemplation, which you can think of with a capital CU, along with the other souls, are reviewing previous incarnations and their challenges and determining how you dealt with those challenges you were faced with. You may decide that you need a do-over or an entirely new incarnation to resolve certain weaknesses or deal with new goals. An obstructed realm is a perfect classroom for learning with all its contrasts and, well, obstructions. You also could decide that you have accomplished what you needed to accomplish and want to move on to a higher level of existence. You will not decide on this by yourself, as there are other souls, like me, that will advise you in these matters. That is how you and I have come into this teacher-student relationship during this incarnation. You asked me to help, and I gratefully agreed. How is this explanation so far, my favorite student?
I love it, Tiber, and I can almost picture it as well. It makes me feel a little impatient to get back there.
That is a danger in itself, and another reason that those of us who are in an obstructed realm should not have the experience of truly sensing what the unobstructed realms are really like. You are here for a reason, and that reason is to learn and evolve. As another analogy, you might picture a student in high school or college that is so desirous of the exciting life that will follow that schooling that they become impatient, tired, and bored of remaining in school. They will not function well or do very well, and it makes their time in school less effective. You must focus on each step in your life process and make an effort to do as well as possible during the entire reincarnation. Now, anything else?
Of course. You kept talking in plural form when you mentioned the transition realms. Are there more than one?
There are far too numerous ones to count, and that is another description of life beyond this and other obstructed realms or universes. There are no limits to creativity. There is also no beginning or end of time. There is only this, and there is only now. But here is an end to this particular lesson. I can see that your brain is swelling a bit, and we can't have that, can we? As with all previous lessons, this information is just a seed embedded in your consciousness and continues to grow as you grow. I notice that you have not finished your double cheeseburger and fries, and they are starting to get cold. Until the next time, my dear boy, be safe, be good, and be inquisitive. I love you very much.
I love you more.
And then, as usual, Tiber expanded into a golden mist and gradually disappeared, leaving Travis with a Coke in his hand and raised to his lips. Tiber defines a transition realm as a place where introspection and contemplation are the primary essence and reason for living. There is no physicality and no solid barriers. A transition realm is an unobstructed realm. Tiber described all ways to do this spiritual analysis, including traveling the spiritual timeline to examine previous life to see the failures and successes of any given reincarnation. Many others will help you understand what you may not understand and guide you to successful solutions to success in future reincarnations. I also love the idea that you could use your imagination to create the lifestyle you wanted the most and even meet all those souls you previously loved in previous lives. I loved all of it. Be sure to move on to episode number 11. When Tiber talks of anger and hate, it is sure to be interesting. Please visit our website, theemeraldcrystal.com, to see, read, or hear more of our literary offerings. You might purchase our spiritual thriller novels, Quest for the Emerald Crystal Book Number 1, Spiritual Warriors in the Bahamas, or Quest for the Emerald Crystal Book Number 2, Spiritual Warriors in Belize, and Quest for the Emerald Crystal Book Number 3, Spiritual Warriors in the Caribbean, within the website or on Amazon.com.